My topic this morning is I find myself. And I bet you're saying, well, I didn't know I was missing. Okay. But my topic is actually based on the song by the same title that was written and sung by Reverend Andy Anderson. When Andy was here last July, I told him, I said, I really want to do a seminar with nothing but your music, because his music is so powerful. It's just like sitting and listening to, you listen to an Andy CD and it's like listening to an hour of treatment. It's just wonderful. So so today I'm going to do this talk based on that particular song. And when I heard Reverend Andy's first CD, that was the point that I became aware of the mystic in him. Because he was able to take some very, very common, very familiar words that we've heard over and over and over again, and to mirror them back to us in such a way that they actually, for me, it became an epiphany. It became a revelation. It became an eye-opener, where all of a sudden, you're able to hear it like you heard it the first time, but at a higher level. You're able to hear it with your spiritual ears. Anybody know what I'm talking about when I talk about? Okay, great, wonderful. So that whole idea of an epiphany is what I want to talk about this morning. Now, an epiphany, what is an epiphany? An epiphany is a sudden, intuitive perception or insight, perception of or insight into the reality or essential meaning of something, usually initiated by some simple, commonplace occurrence or experience. Okay? All right. So, a sudden intuitive perception of or insight into the reality or essential meaning of something. That's what I want us to have this morning. I want us, as we're listening to this talk this morning, I want us to go, oh, yeah. That's what this means. That's why this is important. Okay, so it's kind of a wake-up call. Okay, and that's what Reverend Andy's words did for me. The first time I heard this song, I realized he had taken some very, very simple words and helped me to hear them again for the very, very first time. And in that very, very first time experience, it was mind-blowing. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to just keep singing. And that's what happens when we have an epiphany or a revelation. We want to stay in that energy. We want it to keep going because we touch something in that moment that sometimes it feels difficult to hold on to. We touch something and we want to stay there. So it's easy to forget what we need to remember. That's what I'm saying. It's easy to forget what we need to remember. And that's exactly the way he starts his song. He says, I sometimes forget I know how to love, release, and let go. I get confused, can't see clear, don't know how. I sometimes lose my way. Now, does that strike a chord with anybody other than me this morning? Do you feel that? Okay, exactly. So that's about all of us, isn't it? We sometimes lose our way. And basically, he's saying that I sometimes forget what my job description is as a spiritual being. See, I sometimes forget what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. See, I sometimes have to revisit that job description. I have to sometimes redefine it for myself. See? Because I sometimes find it difficult to even entertain an idea because in my mind, I think I have to create it. Figure out how. How is this going to possibly happen? See? And in the words he said is no. He said that's not what we're required to do. What we're required to do is to love it, release it, and let go of it. I'm not required to figure out how I'm going to pay my bills. I just have to know that I can pay them. I have to know that within myself, that unlimited prosperity has already been given to me. I'm not required to figure out how to get well. I have to know that that health already belongs to me. Claim it. I'm not required to figure out how to heal the difficult feelings that I may have in my relationship. I'm only required to claim that love and that joy and that harmony in my life because I recognize that it already belongs to me. Love it, release it, and let go. That's the job description. So loving it, what is that? What does that mean? What is that? So what he's saying is recognizing my oneness with it by identifying the God attribute that it represents. That's what loving it is. That's what loving an idea is. I'm going to say that again. Recognizing my oneness with the idea by identifying the God attribute that it represents. Not just announcing it. Not just announcing that I am peace. Ernest Holmes tells us in the Science of Mind textbook, he says just saying peace is not going to bring peace. It won't reveal it because there is no feeling. See, so that feeling has to be both intellectual and not just the intellectualizing the idea, but actually feeling that idea. Feeling, what does it feel? What does that peace feel like? What does that joy feel like? What does that prosperity feel like? What does it feel like having that in my world? And then realizing that the reason I can feel it is because it's already a part of me. I don't create the peace. I don't create the prosperity. I don't create the joy. It's already a part of me, and that's what I'm letting myself feel. I'm letting myself feel what's already here, what's nudging me, what wants to come through me. So that's what loving it is. Loving it is to allow myself to connect with not just the intellectual aspect of the idea, but the feeling associated with it. And then, and loving it is the first thing that Reverend Andy tells us we have to do. Love it. And then he says, release it. Release the feeling. Release the feeling. You know, sometimes that feeling associated with the desires that we have are all bottled up inside of us. We don't even know what that joy feels like. If you want to know what I'm talking about this morning, think about when Reverend Lacey gets up and gives a treatment, you feel it, don't you? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. There's something within you that goes beyond the intellectual aspect of those words. You feel that connection with yourself. Okay? So when we feel our desires, when we allow ourselves to really feel them, we want to release that. Let it out. See, and this is the interesting thing is because, you know, sometimes we spend so much time trying to attract things to us. Now, if that doesn't sound off to you, you want to hear what I say next, okay? Because that's not the job. The job is to let it out. If you let it out, it's going to automatically come back to us, pressed down, multiplied, and running over. So it's not trying to bring it to you, it's letting it out of us. Love it. Release it. See? We've been working backwards. We want to have the experience and then I'll feel it. We want to have the experience of that joy and then I'll feel it. We want to have the experience of that prosperity and then I'll feel it. But that's not the way it works. Okay, so then the third thing he tells us is to let go of it. Love, release, let go. All right. In other words, I release the feeling. I know that it's done. And I don't go back and pick it up again. I'm going to lay down my burdens down by the riverside and study war no more. Isn't that it? When I lay it down, I'm not going to go back and pick it up again. Yeah, that's it. That's the message this morning. Let it go, and then let it be revealed. Now, if you listen to that, if you can hear what I'm saying, you might kind of want to tweak your job description this morning, huh? You might begin to see it a little bit different than the way you've been seeing it up till now. Because sometimes we're working way too hard. Something I read in Goldsmith's Practicing the Presence, and I love it. He said, this is God's desire. And he goes further. He says, this is God's demonstration. I love that. I've incorporated that into my treatment. I don't say I can do this anymore. I say God can do this. Now, I don't know about you, but it feels a little bit more hefty and more powerful when I say it that way. God can do this according to my concept of God. Jesus said, I of myself can do nothing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. So I'm not talking duality here. I'm talking about that higher aspect of self that can see the whole picture right now. See, health. If the desire is health, then I'm accepting the health that I already am. That's what I'm accepting. I'm accepting the health that has already been created. I'm accepting the health that already exists. I love it. I release it. I let go of it. The prosperity, I'm accepting the prosperity that I already am. The prosperity that already has been created, that already exists. I love it. I release it. I let go of it.